Okay, well, new car in the workshop. First of all, actually, I have to show you this stuff. Just look down there, there's another 3 Zoes lined up there. Unbelievable. Right, so 2016 Zoe. This is a 5AQ. So it looks like this, okay? So this is the one with the air-cooled motor. This is the fan that cools the motor. So this one is quite interesting. So it breaks down with a rotor position fault, which isn't uncommon, but what normally happens with these is that they make a noise, like bearing noise. So you get that, like, you know, worn out washing machine or like a, you know, train going over the tracks, sort of that kind of like low rumble noise. And this one doesn't do that. So this is interesting. It went to Renault. It's owned by a guy called Matt. It went to Renault. Renault put a rotor position sensor on it because it's got a rotor position fault. So the rotor position sensor basically, hold on, I will actually get one. One moment, please. Okay, this is a rotor position sensor. So this is bolted onto the end of the motor. Okay, so yeah, the motor spins inside here, and this goes onto the motor shaft and rotates, and you'll notice that's slightly ovaled. And then that kind of basically that moves and this reads it. Okay, not rocket science. So this car went to Renault with a rotor position fault and they put a rotor position sensor on it. Makes perfect sense. Customer gets in it, starts driving home, breaks down, rotor position fault. So bearing in mind that we know that this is on the motor shaft and we've seen bearings go on these, what's the chance that this is moving around and it's not a fault with this sensor, whereas it's actually a fault with the rotor or inside the motor? So it's really interesting though, this car, because it's not making any noise. So normally you get the noise and you know it's bearings. Is it something else in the motor? Is it play? Is it play in the gearbox that's as the torque allowing that rotor to move? Maybe the rotor normally does move a little bit, but that's deadened by the reduction gear because that's kind of holding on the other end of the shaft. I don't know, but we're going to find out. Hopefully we can find something, because when you know it's got noisy bearings, you put new bearings in it. Obviously you know there's play because the bearings are worn. These bearings are not necessarily worn, but will there be something to see? We're going to find out. So just starting to get it stripped down, just got it up in the air, got the wheels off, and just kind of like, you know, putting some spray oil in places just to enable us getting it off, getting the arch liners off. And this, I don't exactly know how Renault did the rotor position sensor, but these bolts are way over torqued, getting on to about twice as high, because I can normally do them with my little gun without fail. Ooh, if I move my hand out for a way. Yeah, just my little sort of cheapo gun. Can normally do these easily, and then its sort of maximum torque is about what these should be, so it makes it really easy basically. But it can't get them off. I mean, I'm struggling to get them off by hand as well. I might have to get my big gun out. So we know Renault have been here. So whether they took the whole front end off, don't know. It's got the newer type of coolant in it, so it's got dark green coolant. So this car would have had light green coolant. So we know that Renault have changed the coolant, so they've probably done it by taking the whole front end off. So yeah, interesting. That kind of helps me because the bolts should come off easily. Well, because they've been off before, albeit if they've massively over torqued them, then maybe not. So there we go. So yeah, what I should say is, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you're interested in sort of some how-to stuff for your own Zoe, then there's a load of member videos as well. So check out the link in the description. I'm going to crack on and get this stripped down. Basically, we're going to take it all apart, take off the front end, take out the stack, put it on the floor, strip it down so we've only got the motor, and then see what it's like, really. Do a little bit of a health check on the motor. The motor is obviously like 9 years old. It's not done mega miles, about 36,000 I think. So, but yeah, but it drives absolutely silently, but if you drive it too excitedly, it breaks down. So yeah, interesting. We shall see what's inside. We know it's not this bit, because Renault changed that. Renault charged the guy 1,200 quid as well to change the sensor. So yeah, not great value for money. I mean, it would have been if it had fixed the car, but obviously it didn't. They then said it needs a motor. The motor will be can't remember how many thousand, but they would take off the 1,200 quid he'd already paid, and he's like, it's not worth it, it's too expensive kind of thing. He obviously wouldn't have paid the 1,200 knowing that it wasn't going to fix it, but that's what dealers do. They just have a go and you pay anyway, which I don't like that system. Not a fan of that. If you're going to charge someone, then fix the car. Cool, right, well I'm going to crack on and I will catch you in a bit. Cheers. Okay, a bit more stripping down has happened. No more dramas with the bolts. So just something interesting. Just taking the gear oil out, obviously because it's been to Renault. I mean, look at this, it's just, look at that. It's like fresh, because the car's literally done probably, I don't know, 15 miles, something like that. Because the guy tried to drive it home, broke down, limped it back to Renault, and then I drove it from the dealer, because it was at my local dealer. Yeah, drove it back to mine. So yeah, look at that, crystal clear golden syrup. So yeah, no other dramas really, other than the charging socket. Oh, sorry, just get out of here. The connector where the charging sockets, you've obviously got the socket there, it's over there on the chair, and then it loops around and it connects onto here. This one was really stiff. Don't know if it's just been forced on a little bit, but it's not damaged or anything. That pin can come off. It's got a little bit squished there, doesn't it? Slightly out of, yeah, it is okay, it's strong enough, but yeah, they're quite easy to break off, especially it's really cold today as well, so the plastic's really brittle. That might have something to do with it, and sort of everything's a bit stiff, and it's this connector that goes onto there, and then as you push on, it's kind of like you push this collar forwards and it rotates and it kind of pulls on that pin effectively. But yeah, that was really, really stiff. You can put a little spray of like a kind of grease in there, but that sort of helps. But then that can then sort of attract the dust really, and then there's more dust, so it kind of like, it's a bit short term, but it's obviously better than breaking the pin. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, gear oil's coming out, and then I can get the drive shafts out, and I need to drain the coolant as well. That's one of the next jobs. So yeah, I'm going to crack on, we'll get this out and see what we've got. All right, cheers. Okay, this is where we're up to. So this stack is ready to come out. It's just held on by the two top engine mountings, so that one over there, and then the gearbox just there. The rear one is undone, so that's just swinging around. So yeah, it's quite interesting to undo something that, you know, Renault have just had apart and put back together. Their sort of random tight bolt tightness has continued. These were really tight, and same on the other side. And then these bolts here, upside down ones that hold the subframe up, that one there and that one there, that one was like mega tight. I mean, that one was over tightened as well. These all have a torque setting, it's just obviously Renault don't follow it. So yeah, thanks for that, nice one. Yeah, another amusing one is this earth strap down here. If you look here, so this earth strap is really common for the bolt getting corroded and the head snapping off. It's happened loads of times, and it's obviously happened to Renault because this is not the original bolt. This is it's got an 11mm head, this bolt, whereas the original one has a 10mm head, which caused me some amusement because my socket wasn't going on. It took me a second to work it out, and they've drilled that hole out basically. But they could have saved the bother, because if I just put that down there, because this is really common, it's happened loads of times, and if we come down here, and if this happens to you, or if Renault would care to pay attention, if we go in here, you can see, where is it, just got to get it in shot. It's easier to look through here. You can see there's a spare bolt hole. Getting it to focus is a challenge. Might focus in a second. Right, if I just do that, there we go. So yeah, you can just bolt it on there. Just get another 10mm bolt and bolt it on there, and that works absolutely fine. But yeah, Renault decided to take some time and drill out the old bolt. Okay, fine. Yeah, no worries. I have to say they did actually torque up correctly. Now it's not going to focus because I did manual focus. The hub nut bolts on the ends of the drive shaft, because I kind of put them on and off a few times. I kind of know how hard you have to set them to be correct. And they were they were correct. I can tell that. But yeah, lots of these were just like totally random. So good to know that Renault just gun stuff up randomly. Yeah, they only to really talk a few things. Yeah, that's good to know. Top marks, Renault. So yeah, right. There we are. Right, so the next job, which is not going to be tonight because it is now dark and cold, yeah, is to get this stack out. Then we start stripping it down. We want to get to the point where we've basically just got the motor. Oh, should we do it like that? Yeah, I think we need to, really. I was just thinking we could just take the reduction gearbox off and inspect the motor shaft, which we may do first, but we really, if we're going to have a good look at this motor, we really should look at the brush box as well, which is at that end. So yeah, I think we need to get it off, get it on the pallet, and then strip it all down so that we've just got the motor sitting on the floor, and we can have a good look at it and see what's going on. And yeah, work out what's what. So yeah, cool. Right, so that will be tomorrow. And I'm going inside because it's cold. So yeah, hopefully that's interesting. Certainly interesting for me, yeah, knowing that Renault have taken this apart last. Yeah, quite fascinating really. But I will catch you later. Cheers. Okay, stacks out. Hopefully the light is okay on the camera. There's a really low sun and it's kind of sneaking in the workshop, sort of below the door. But yeah, hopefully we're all right. So yeah, the stack is out. So if you've been around my channel for a while, you'll kind of know what we're going to do next, really. So we're going to strip off all this wiring loom. Then we're going to take the air conditioning compressor off. There's also a bracket which kind of holds the two parts together. You can just about see it there that the air conditioning compressor is bolted into. Chunky aluminium bracket. I'm going to take that off, and then we're going to start sort of disconnecting these two parts, really. So there's motor wires underneath there and a little cover panel. So we'll need to wiggle that over that way a little bit so it's sticking off the pallet a little bit more. So you don't want it to fall over because it's quite heavy. Especially if you're leaning underneath it, be less than ideal. Yeah, I never really like to do that on the engine crane though, that's the other thing, because then you're obviously under a lifting device, which is not ideal either, because these things can fail and then the legs of it are in the way, so it's a little bit of a game where to do it. But I found this pallet method works quite well. This is really stable. I've tried a few different, because it's sort of slatted, it kind of just supports it a little bit, and that seems to work. So that's sort of my sort of solution. That tends to be what I do most of the time, that little pallet. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, obviously it arrived with something on it, and that's what I use it for. Works really well. So, but yeah, if you're doing this kind of thing, just be really careful, you know. Yeah, obviously I'm on gravel, it makes it more difficult to move the stack out, but yeah, these can fall over. And I have actually had one fall over in the past when I was just stripping down, so I wasn't being as careful, and that's when these things happen, isn't it? So, but yeah, just be really careful. You can, if you've got some slats of wood, you can kind of put them under here. I was just looking around, I've got some there, but they're sort of under things. But yeah, you can see these parts are sort of lifted up, so you can get sort of slats in here and stuff just to steady it. But yeah, just don't hurt yourself, it's not worth it. Right, so let's get this apart. Yeah, so after motor wires under there, then there's a bolt on the top and a bolt either side, and then this box will slide off. Then we're left with just the motor. We could, just thinking really, because the that sensor is at this end, this gearbox end. It's down, it's kind of hard to see, but you just about see a black bit there, which is probably not focusing. Oh, that cone, that black cone with the ribs, yeah, I sort of see it there. The rotor position sensor is in there. So that's kind of what we need to inspect, albeit the solution to this car is either going to be rebuild it with new bearings or put another motor in it, in which case we need that box off anyway. So we need it all apart. So I think we just get it all apart, have a good look at it, see what we got, and work out what we're going to do next. So yeah, is there movement in that shaft? Is there nothing? But obviously there must be something, but it's whether we can exactly spot it. Must be from the motor though. It must be from the motor. So yeah, alright, catch you in a bit. Cheers. Now, if you're particularly eagle-eyed in that last section, you may have noticed something. I just noticed it just as I was sort of signing off there. This is the connection from the motor. So if we just follow this round, so coming out of here, this one we're looking at, goes behind here, along here. You'll have to trust me on this because it's slightly hidden. But yeah, then it's up there, down here, and to here. It's actually got the control for the fan, motor cooling fan, because that's controlled by the motor controller as well to cool the motor. And then this is a connection effectively that comes from the rotor position sensor, and this was kind of like twisted quite awkwardly which is kind of interesting. It's not damaged any of the wires, but you never actually know whether that could have pulled the connector to one side. So, because it was kind of on there, but you can see that's a bit twisted round, but like a full turn round and then shoved on there. So it was like that, but these were all twisted round. Yeah, that's interesting. Slightly annoying, because when you find something like this, then you doubt exactly what you were thinking, because I'm thinking the issue's inside here, but now could there be an issue with this? Yeah, you know, it's probably one of those unlikely but possible. What we need to do is carry on. There's no point untwisting this and putting it back together and seeing if it works. Not now, anyway. We would have only done that if we'd have noticed this right at the start. So what we might as well do is just carry on, take it all apart, because if we do find something, we know this is just an oddity of our Renault, put it back together and we'll do it neater. I could also salvage one of these wiring looms off another motor, just so that we're sure, because this is obviously an older car, sort of like 9-10 years old now. That could have been damaged. Not really damaged, it's more the strain that it puts on those wires, although, you know, it's in a tiny little hole. How much is it going to pull that connector, the metal bit which is clipped inside there? Not a lot. I'm thinking it's unlikely. When we put it back, we certainly won't put a twist on it. Still a bit of a twist there, but yeah, okay, interesting. Oh yeah, after these have been twisted a few times, not too good. See, it should be like that. Interesting, and this is how it comes out of the factory with all these wires hanging out. That's literally what, sorry about that, dodgy camera. Yeah, that's literally how they come, really. Interesting. Okay, well, we shall proceed and see what we find. All right. Okay, so this is all apart. Reduction gearbox is there. That's the PEC that comes off the back. Compressors over there, wiring looms over there. So we've just got the motor. So now we can have a look at this. And yes, I laughed quite hard a minute ago, and we will see why. So the first thing we do this is inspect. So we look at this sensor. So they've replaced this sensor, and we can see that they've replaced that oval ring in there. So that is the rotor position sensor, as I showed you on earlier. You can see that's the bit where it gets closer and further away, so that's all good. So they've replaced the inner oval ring as well, so that's good. I would have done that as well, because they get surface rust on. So they've replaced those, and the car's broken down again. So first thing we do is check if it's got any bearing noise. Now, I've driven this car, although I drove it very gently, but I've drove it up to 35 miles an hour max, because I didn't want to break down, basically. And there was no noticeable noise. Usually bearings are quite noisy, but we can give it a spin. You may not be able to hear that, but there is a tiny little bit of noise. Kind of sounds like it's possibly from the back end. There are brushes at that end, because it's a wound rotor, so it uses brushes to get the power onto the rotor with slip rings. But it sounds like bearings, but just a tiny little bit of noise. And the reason you can tell is it's kind of coming and going. It's almost like a brush is touching a wheel or something like that. You kind of get that like kind of noise. And the brushes at the back, the carbon brushes, are continuously on the slip ring, so they wouldn't cause that noise. So we've got noise, which is a concern. Next thing we do is see if this rotor moves. Okay, so, and this motor is totally stable. I've wedged it with a bit of wood, so this thing can't move, okay? And I'm going to put my foot on it as well. Now, I can literally, you can definitely hear that. I can move that rotor up and down. I'll see if I can get a camera stand and just hold the camera still, and then you should literally be able to see that rotor moving. But this whole shaft is moving. Don't know if we can capture it in here and do it at this angle, but obviously as I lift this, I'm moving the camera, but it's hard because it's probably bearing wear. It only moves at certain places. No, I can only do it when I'm standing up. But yeah, dear oh dear. So Renault have put a sensor on this. They've obviously not done any checks on the motor, because their diagnostic plan says replace the sensor. So that's what they've done. They don't do anything else, don't think outside the box at all. But this motor has a fault. the shaft is moving, the oval ring is on the shaft, and obviously that the sensor is looking for that position to be closer and further away. If this shaft is flopping about, obviously that's not going to give you the right reading, is it? Doesn't matter if you put a new sensor on it. If the thing in the middle of it is trying to read, it's flopping about. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's not going to work, is it? Well, we wanted to find something clear, and we found it, which is really good. As I've heard about some nightmare cars in the past where the motors looked good. But they still broke down with rotor position faults, which is obviously a bit more of a pain. But this one is quite clear. So we'll need to see exactly what's wrong with this motor. Is it the bearing movement within the bearing? Has the whole bearing sort of, I've heard about this before, where the bearing sort of gets stiff or worn or kind of locks up, and then the whole bearing sort of moves and grinds a bit, and it grinds, the hole where the bearing sits becomes an oval. So it could be that the whole bearing is moving, but we'll obviously have to take the motor apart to tell. But yeah, this is really good. Well, I mean, it's annoying because it proves that Renault... Well, just doing what Renault do, I suppose. But yeah, good for us because we can fix this car. So yeah, I think I need a cup of tea after all that. I'll see if I can find the stand for the camera, give you a slightly better view. But yeah, next thing is take all this apart and see exactly what's going on. See if we can sort of really feel the movement within the bearing, inspect the holes where the bearing sits. Motor itself looks okay, a bit like dust in there. See on the string there that's holding it together. But yeah, I mean, this does drive, but it may have been hot in the past, and that can be the case with bearings. So yeah, cool. Right, there we go. I do despair. Wonderful. Right, good stuff. I will catch you in a bit. Okay, we're going to attempt to capture this rotor movement. I've got a stealthy stand thing that I borrowed off my kids, which is resting on my big gun. So hopefully, just about here, what we're looking for is this black cone to basically move up and down, because that black cone is on the shaft. Got to hold it at this angle. And it's hard because I'm trying not to rotate it as well. I think you can just see there that it covers a little bit of the plastic just here when I pull on it. There you go. So I don't know if you can hear that, but you can certainly see it. This whole shaft is moving. Be interesting if it is the bearing just in here, or whether it's the bearing at the back and it's sort of pivoting on the bearing here, whether it's a bit of both. But yeah, we need to get this motor apart and find out. So let's give it a go. All right, cheers. Okay, so just stripping this motor down. Yeah, nothing majorly to see there. There's bit of dust and stuff in there, but yeah, sort of nothing really to see at that end. Now that position sensor is off, then we're on the other end. So if you've seen my previous videos, I've chatted before about how with these brush boxes, they've removed, in the later ones, they've removed some of the bolts. So this is an early one, so we are fitted with 6 bolts. Oh yeah, so in the previous video I did a 69 plate which just had the corners, then it had a bit of moisture ingress here. So I had to seal it up. Anyway, so just looking at these brushes, so quite a bit of brush material here. I don't think it's mega high mileage, so that is quite a lot given the mileage of the car. So that's a slight area of concern. On these brushes, trying to get the light in the right place, so you always get a little bit darker here. That's quite common really. You can clean it and it gets a bit shinier. Just looking at this back one, you can see to the back of there, so I'm just going to move position, you can see a little bit of sort of plastic just behind that. And see, it's disappeared and it's come back. So that is a bit of a concern. The slip ring should always sit above, and that one at the front appears to be above. So if I go too close, it doesn't focus, and the camera doesn't get in the light. So you can see this one sticks. There's a good sort of bit of copper sticking up above there, which is what you want to see. And it also looks like there is there. I'm just going to look with my eye. Yeah, not as high potentially, but you can probably see better than me. That's generally the irony of these things. If you've got this on a big screen, it's literally bigger than it is in real life. But yeah, but to the back of that is a concern. So what we would expect is more like this one, where you've got the slip ring sticking up, so you've got a good bit there, so you can see that, you know, it's in the right place. I've seen these overheated and then the slip ring's like sunk in, so if the bearings are really worn, it can literally heat up this shaft, heat up this plastic, and then when the motor stops, this carbon brush is pushed by a spring, and it's just pushing kind of gently-ish on there, and I've seen it push that slip ring in. So, you know, we're sort of checking that end, we're making sure that's sort of even, it's not pushed in. We can see this is the original motor because it's got 2016 there stamped on the end. And then that second one, yeah, we've got a bit of a lip at the start, so that's good. And you can see where the brush is contacting in the middle, so that's good. But on the back there, sorry, I just moved that back in. You can't really see that lip, and it looks like that the plastic is been worn down by the brush, or potentially that slip ring has been pushed, sort of as I was saying, like when they overheat, and it's sort of damaged the edge of that plastic. But that looks like fresh broken plastic effectively, and I don't really like the look of that. Yeah, I might just take the brushes off, but I'm not really liking the look of this. And when it comes to rebuilding these motors, you're kind of looking for anything that you're not happy about, because you're going to put a warranty on it to a customer, and obviously if it breaks down, you've got to take it all apart again. So you want to do a good job. It's a long job, we don't want to do it again. But yeah, I think this has had excess wear, and there's quite a lot of brush material there. I'm just going to get these brushes off and just check the mileage. One moment please. Okay, so got the brushes off. Brushes themselves, not a lot of wear on there. They look okay. Nice and shiny, nothing chipped or broken, if I can get it to focus. Yeah, they look kind of like you would expect, really. And surprising how much brush material there is here, given what those brushes look like. But yeah, I'm still concerned either way with that, you know, being as it is, looking like that could have moved. And it's kind of the case where if you're not happy with something, it's not worth it. Just, move on. So, trying to check the mileage, best I could find, because the car was obviously rather like this. Its previous MOT about a year ago was 36,000, so no great mileage, basically. And then if we just sort of visually take a view of what they look like in that colour. I've just grabbed another motor here, just thinking that obviously we're going to need to replace it. Got the brushes off and started to give them a bit of a clean, and you can see how shiny these are. You can see I haven't finished this one. There's just a tiny lip on the front, and then that's making cleaning a little bit more difficult near the sort of edges. But that one, yeah, that one's come up really nicely. I just need to clean this one a little bit more. So this is kind of like, this is what you want to see, basically. You know, we haven't got, trying to get the light in the right place. We can see we've got plenty of copper here. Looks like more than the other one, doesn't it? And same here. And then we've not got that issue of any plastic sort of bits sticking out the back. You know, it's kind of like, that's what we want, really. Some guys have actually replaced this, like taken the rotor out and replaced this slip ring assembly, because this plastic part and these slip rings actually pushed over this. This is like the end of the shaft. But then there's like some solder tabs inside and stuff, and it's kind of like, well, I can get decent motors and, you know, check them over, clean them up. So not really required, basically. But yeah, this just came from a breaker. They seem to like spraying white paint over it. That's partly because then you can see these numbers, so they can take a photo. And then the other reason is basically just so that they know, got kind of like what's been taken apart. So like, you know, sprayed all the bolts that were on the rotor position sensor there. But yeah, I've just had a little bit of sort of dust and stuff on it, so just cleaning that up and making sure that's all good. I usually replace that ring in the middle of the rotor position sensor. Obviously we've got a new one from Renault from the other motor, so I'm probably going to use the sensor and ring from the other motor. Having a look at the brushes on this one, not much wear, but I was a little bit concerned just in here. You can see that it's kind of like a bit dark in there, whereas this one, although I've chipped it slightly, taking it off, as I've said in the past, if you're taking them off, you're kind of committing to changing them. But yeah, you can see that one's like shiny up and down, and this one's got like some black bits in it. So whether that's been poorly made, I don't know, but I don't really like the look of that. So, or not making good contact. So yeah, we're obviously going to replace that, and we've got a new brush kit from Renault. They now come brown. I don't know why. They used to be black, who knows, but that is the same part. It's the updated part, same part number, or is it a different part number actually? But it's the same part, if you know what I mean. That is the brush kit for this motor. That's the only one they sell basically for these motors. So yeah, we're gonna make this one. We're gonna make this one good. I mean, a lot of garages would just get a second-hand motor and shove it on there. I'm not a lot of garages. Obviously, I do things a little bit differently, but I do them until I'm happy, basically, and the cars don't come back. So that's how it goes. So still needs a little bit of a clean up this motor. So like a little bit of surface rust here. So this is a locating pin. When the reduction box goes on, there's like a plug and it's a tight fit, and it just makes sure. So that pin up there and that one down here, just make sure that this is bang on in the correct place for the gears, kind of thing. So just to get that alignment, just to prevent wear on these shafts, uneven wear and that kind of stuff. So this all needs cleaning up, these mating surfaces. So that's got a bit of aluminium corrosion on, really common. So not too bad around there, but yeah, just there. This one doesn't sit as tight because there's the hole here where the air vent goes in, so it's kind of like bolted in there and there, but this bit's not got a lot behind it. It's just kind of like a sliver there, yeah, just like that. So it kind of comes away a little bit, and that's why you just get a little bit of corrosion there. But yeah, just all needs cleaning up just to make sure it all goes on nice and square and everything perfectly. So this is going back in this car. This is actually a 2020 motor. Yeah, there's a few variants, so you've got to be a little bit careful. But yeah, that is perfectly suitable. And yeah, we're going to kind of get rid of that one. I've got a couple of spare motors. Because I buy these control boxes, sometimes I have to buy a whole stack to sort of get what I want, basically. And then, or if I see them, just when I'm browsing for parts, you see it and you think, yeah, I'm going to have that. And then hang on to it because it will come in, because obviously I mainly work on these cars. So that is all good. So I need to get this one prepped. So basically get that one out of the way, move this one in, new brush kit, finish cleaning the brushes, and then new brush kit, get this end all built up with a sensor and everything, wiring loom. This one didn't have a wiring loom on it. The other one looked a little bit stretched, and might swap that for a different one. Probably not absolutely essential, but I'm pretty sure I've got a spare. I'll have a look. But yeah, it's not, I don't think that's essential. We know what the cause of this was. It was the fact that shaft is wobbling about. And then it's a case of, should we rebuild it? We assess it, look of anything of concern, and yeah, we don't like that motor. Not happy with that one, so we're going to go with this one. Stick this on, and yeah, this one's nice and quiet. Doesn't make any noise. Shaft is obviously not moving around, which is good. But yeah, I'm going to get this cleaned up, swap them over, and we start building on this one. Right, I will catch you in a bit. Cheers. Okay, so this motor is pretty much now ready to start rebuilding. So I've done a bit more cleaning here. Still, if it'll focus, still a little bit stripy on this one. So I think I'm going to give it a little bit more, but there's a decent shine on there. That's pretty good. And I've tested the resistance here. So I know what that is. Obviously that's within spec because we're directly kind of on the slip rings that are connected to the windings. But when I put brushes on it, I want to test it on the wires down here. And then I know what my brush resistance is. And then I know that's good, basically. So yeah, this needs a little bit more. Then it needs all just kind of making sure that there's no sort of bits of fluff or anything like that. So final sort of contact cleaner. Clean. So, and then if we come around the other side, we have cleaned up all this aluminium here. This is now nice and shiny. This had some paint on it. Yeah, this again just needs another final clean. They put some paint on here, but that's not particularly fine. I might just try and scrape that off so it doesn't end up in the reduction gearbox. But yeah, this is basically ready to go. This one's nice and quiet, not making any noise, which is what it should be like. But yeah, this is pretty much ready to go, so I'm quite happy with that. And yeah, need to get obviously the sensor on here and everything, just start building this one up. So yeah, I'm going to crack on. I'll catch you in a bit. Okay, so I've got this replacement motor basically all ready to go. So this is all rebuilt. I've used the brand new sensor that Renault put on, and also the ring in the middle. Just got this all kind of like cleaned up. Basically, it's all ready to go, all securely on, just double checking everything. Similar at the other end, finished cleaning the brushes. And yeah, basically just put this back together, really. This is one of the later ones that's got 4 bolts, hasn't got the 2 in the middle. So yeah, and then then I've double checked the resistance through here. So through the brushes, compared it to the resistance directly, and it added something like 1.6 ohms having these wires and the 2 brush contacts. So I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, it was well at the bottom end of the spec that it should be, just going directly on the rotor. So we're still you know, we're still very low, what I would consider a really good reading. So yeah, I'm totally happy with that. And yeah, we're just going to rebuild it basically. So yeah, rebuild the stack. So you get the PEC, what Renault call the PEC, that control box over here. Reduction gearbox, the bracket for the AC compressor, wiring loom, which is all over there. Get this stack rebuilt and pop it back in there. That's all we've got to do really. So yeah, right, let's crack on. Cheers. Okay, cool. So we are getting there. So this box PEC is back on. The motor wires are all connected underneath. This wiring loom from the motor, if I have my head touch on it, see a little bit more, is back connected. I couldn't find a nicer one. Unfortunately, sometimes when you buy the motors, they get damaged because it's kind of like this one's trailing out, and that one as well, actually, that goes to the control for the motor cooling fan. So they're sort of, quite liable to get damaged. The other thing is occasionally breakers have a habit of chopping cables. So they kind of do it just to remove parts. They tend to leave connectors but chop cables. It's a bit of an odd one, but that tends to be how they do things. So I've had several motors where that's just like been chopped off, even though obviously that's kind of can be disconnected. That's just sort of how they do it, really. Bit of an odd one, but yeah, that's going to stay there. But obviously it's untwisted, so that's what it's meant to look like. So yeah, that bracket, you can see that now. That's for the AC compressor, and it just holds these parts together. That's obviously quite structural. You don't need that much aluminium to hold an air conditioning compressor on, so that just kind of like strengthens it, because this is the engine, and it's got its mounting point obviously there and those three up there, and just to give it that structural rigidity, it bolts in there, and the same on the other side. Then it has one here, but yeah, that's the only one kind of from this PEC down onto the motor. So that bracket just gives it sort of additional rigidity. It really holds that side on. That's got 4 chunky bolts. So yeah, AC compressor on. We need to do the wiring loom that's over there, get that all on and get it back in. I'm hoping to get this at least held in and swinging today. It'd be quite cool, because I started this morning about 9 o'clock. When I came in the workshop, the motor stack was in there, but not kind of held on with anything only other than the engine mount, so no wires or anything like that, or that rear mount that's there. So yeah, first thing this morning was engine crane, get it out on the floor, start dismantling it. So yeah, pretty good progress today. Really, these things take time, but we are getting there. So all right, cool, I'm gonna get this rebuilt, and then we can put it back in there. All right, cool. Right, now we're getting somewhere. So obviously that wiring loom is all on, and I've popped it back in. So it's just on those 2 sets of engine mounts. I've just started putting the wiring loom on, just bolted it on here where it goes. So yeah, next job to do is get enough connected that we can spin the motor and just make sure it's all happy. I mean, obviously it did drive before, but just to make sure we haven't broken anything, that motor's definitely good, all that kind of stuff, just as a little double check really before we carry on. So, and any issues, obviously, then we can just take a step back and resolve. So yeah, we got to get the wiring loom from the stack connected to the car. So there's sort of various places. It's all of this gubbins basically. So it connects to a couple of points down here, loads of earth points, into this fuse box here. If I move the camera, you can actually see. Also into this fuse box that goes on top of the 12-volt battery. That's normally got a red cover on it, but one of the clips was broken, so I need to repair that. I'll find another one. And yeah, various places onto the main ECU here with this connector, and then these ones go inside here, and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously the minor issue of the ones that go down the back of the stack and actually connect to the battery. So we've got the orange one, and then we've got the comms one as well. So yeah, we don't need drive shafts. We will need that gear selector cable as well. That needs popping on here. And earth straps, there's one there and one over there. Renault obviously had a bit of fun and games, as we know, with this one, but we're going to just pop it in a different place because that's much easier. Yeah, there's also 2 connectors next to the 12-volt battery as well. I'm just hiding under there as those 2. So yeah, that is all there. Maybe a couple of earth points there, but you kind of just go around it methodically. Then get the battery tray in. So we don't need drive shafts, we don't need cooling, any of that kind of stuff. We just want to get the car to the point where we can start it, spin the motor. It will tell us it can't charge because it's got no charging socket, but we don't need to worry about that. We know why that is. And yeah, just make sure there's no major faults basically, and that motor spins. So I'm going to start hooking that up, and we'll see what happens in a minute. Right. Right, so yeah, I've got all those bits and bobs back on, and I think we're ready to fire this up. So I've got the earth strap, just kind of like where I said I would put it ready. Oh, you can't see it from there, can you? Where is it? There it is, yeah. So just on the edge of the production gearbox, because it's easier, basically. So the only thing is that bolt hole isn't tapped, but it's in aluminium anyway, so you basically get a bolt, shove it in there with the gun. You kind of go in and out a few times, and it pretty much cuts it, but it sort of like wears the thread on the bolt. So you kind of do that until it starts spinning, and then you throw that bolt away and get another bolt and put it in there. And that's it, basically. Saves all the drilling out. Right, so that is all good. Yeah, right, let's fire this up. I'm going to pop this on here, see what we've got on the dash. What we got to start with? Oh yeah, battery charging impossible, that's good. So no red warning, so no major high voltage things. Oh, just move that, that's just my ticket from the AC machine, just to say what was taken out, how much oil and all that. Right, so it goes into ready mode. So that's cool. Just listening. Oh, we get the ready noise twice. Okay. Right, and then we're just going to pop it into drive. There we go. And it's spinning the motor. Cool. And I'm just going to pop it into neutral. There we go. That is cool. There we go. Actually, we put it in drive just to... Just want to go... Slow in... Oh, yeah. No, that's what it's doing. Yeah, it's just listening to how long it spins for. Right, what I'm going to do... That's it. That's what I want. Right. Yeah, so you can see. Oh, if I move. There we go. Cool. That's what I wanted, basically. Yeah, so they should normally, because they've got no load, they've got no drive shaft, they should normally spin for a little while. And it was just kind of spinning and stopping. But that's just because it's trying to... yeah. Shut up. Right. Yeah, it's trying to put a little bit of torque in the motor, and then it's like... it's kind of a traction control thing. It does a little forwards, backwards. It's kind of a little bit weird. But yeah, basically, it just moves the motor a little bit of torque forwards, a little bit of torque backwards, basically. And that's what they do when they're unloaded, and you put them in ready mode and just sort of just put it in drive, don't put your foot down, kind of thing. But yeah, I just wanted to get it to spin quickly so we can have a listen, and then you kind of, I know they should spin for a little while, basically. And that's what it did. So that's normal. They sound quite notchy, but that's because it's got no gear oil in. So they're just literally the gears, they're unloaded and they're just spinning. They're just pretty dry and they just spin against each other, basically. So it's quite normal. It sounds notchy. So DC-DC converter will be running. We've got no faults, but let's just double check that while we're here. Need to fix the cover for that as well. Let's just pop this on. So yeah, we got 14.4. Slightly difficult to see because it's dusty bit and it's under there, but yep, that's good. So that is cool. I'm happy with that. So it spins, no major issues, basically. That's what we wanted to check. Yeah, because there's sort of various problems you can have, basically, just from having taken the whole thing out and putting it back in again. Plus the fact that we've got a different motor. But we know that we haven't caused any issues. That's one. And then another, that this motor spins and looks okay. Obviously, we don't fully know until the car gets back on the road. But we know we're not going to have any major issues, basically. This car will start and drive, because that's effectively what it just did. Albeit it's not got any drive shafts, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. Water pump is quite keen. That's spinning. So what I'm going to do is just take that off. The car is still awake. So I'll just let that go to sleep. Like that. So when the DC-DC converter turns off, that will just pop off. Yeah, and that's about it, really. So I can start rebuilding. Yeah, bolt that battery down. And yeah, just crack on, really. So yeah, there's a various pile of parts. One of the first things is the subframe, and then get the radiator pack back on there. And yeah, just crack on, really. I'll do a little bit of inspection on the front suspension, I think, next. Just check the wheel bearing, not the wheel bearings, the lower ball joint. That's the word that's escaping me. These ones here, I can do that now. Yeah, it looks okay. I need to give it a good wiggle with both hands. It's obviously had new discs and pads at some point, which is cool. Yeah, so that looks all right. Just because they're a lot easier to do now rather than later on. Oh yeah, this one's obviously quite new because you can see the condition of it's good. Cool. Well, I'm happy. That's good. That's really good. I'm quite keen to get this back on the road, yeah, just to make sure it all works. MOT's due soon, I think, as well. That's why I was kind of looking at the suspension as well. But yeah, cool. All right, fantastic. I'm going to keep rebuilding and we'll go from there, get it back on the road. All right, cheers. Okay, the rebuild is continuing and I can confirm it is blooming cold. If I take you outside, actually, the sun has come out and melted, but it was almost like the perfect Zoe Christmas card out here. It is cold, but yes, work is continuing. I have actually reinstated what I call my electric chair. If you've been around here for a very long time, you'll know what this is. It is a couple of 12-volt heated seat pads, which I leave on top of each other, and then normally if I have to sit down, I just lift them up and sit down because it's nice and warm, and that's if I need to do something quickly, but you know, ideally just go inside and warm up. But at the moment I've got my gloves in there and I've just taken them off. So I keep one pair in there and then I keep one pair on because my hands are getting cold. Even moving around and working and starting with warm gloves, they're getting cold. It is very cold. But yeah, and then that's just connected to my power supply. It's interesting actually. So it's actually a charger from a caravan. And there's a particular reason for that I don't use a standard charger, and that's because if I get an EV with a totally dead battery, I can just start it on that because it has a power supply mode, or if it detects a battery it goes into charge mode, because if it's kind of inside a caravan you could just have mains power, so that runs the caravan's 12-volt system, or you could have a battery and then obviously it charges the battery. So it's quite beefy. It's over 20 amps, I think about 21 amps. And if I want to basically, you know, just start a car from it, I can, because it's an EV and I don't need a lot of juice, or I can charge with it, or I can run my electric chair off it. It's perfect. So that is fantastic. Although I have to say, in a second, I'm just going to go inside and warm up. But having said all that, this rebuild is continuing. So yeah, cooling system is in, everything's connected. So ready to put coolant in. Drive shafts are in. These brackets are on each side. I've torqued that up, took those bolts up. Just need to pop those back in on this side, I do notice. And so it's ready. Haven't put fluids in yet, but ready to get gear oil and coolant back in. Yeah, basically the same. This side has obviously had discs recently, but yeah, it's all good to go. One thing on this one, there's always a little quirk. Every vehicle is something a little bit different. On this one, there was a rubber bung. Where is it? There it is. It's hard to see now. Oh, and I've got my finger in front of the thing. This one, you can see it better than me. See here. So this one was hanging down, basically. So I put some spray glue on it. That's what it looks like. It's got glue on it. And then I sort of wedged it up for a bit. And yeah, that's like a kind of plug into the body. So you don't want that catching the rain. And there's always little things with each car, really. But if you're doing a job like this, just keep your eyes open and, you know, when there's a little quirk or something that needs resolving, then, yeah, just fix it as you go along, basically. And then we'll be all good. So, yeah, it's not going to take that much longer to get this back on the road. It's got a few days of MOT left, so I can drive it around. I've booked an MOT for next week as well. And, yeah, hopefully by the end of the day we can take this for a test drive. So, yeah, cup of tea and warm up is the next plan. And then when I come back out, I'll put coolant in it, gear oil, and then just continue rebuilding, really. So obviously you've got this crash structure. We've got that wiring snake that's going up there. That goes along the front down to these sort of various sensors, and the washer bottle goes on there and stuff, and it sort of goes along top of that crash bar. And, yeah, rebuild the front, under trays, arch liner, scuttle, all that kind of stuff. We'll get all that back together, headlights, obviously. And bumper on. And then we'll be good to go and see if it's all good. Yeah, because you don't definitely know this is good until we do a test drive. But realistically, we know that motor was no good because that shaft is moving around. It's got other issues. Possibly could be rebuilt, but whether it would be reliable. What I might do is take my time and rebuild it and, you know, just assess it in a bit more detail. Take the rotor out and give it a really good bit of assessment inside. So, yeah, Cool, good stuff. I'm going to go and get warmed up and then we'll crack on. Cheers. Okay, cool. We are getting somewhere. So I just got the charge port back on. I thought a good time to make sure it charges, which it does. Not sort of expecting any issues, but just before we do absolutely everything, just make sure we haven't got an issue, really. We can also check the mileage now. Yeah, 36.7. So really not a lot of mileage. Just got the headlights in there. I like to keep them dry, just because obviously my workshop is a little bit damp because it's a gazebo at the end of the day. So yeah, what's left to do? So I've done that wiring snake, so that's all on. Washer bottles on and wonky. Let's just do that. There we go, that's better. So obviously we've got headlights, bumper, under trays, which is basically the front under tray. Then there's the aluminium one that goes around the battery. And there's like kind of one with wings, but I leave that sort of half on, so I just need the other final few bolts putting in that. So that'll be the kind of front end and underneath. And then we've got that scuttle section and wheels. And that's about it, I think, really. Yeah, get it down, took it for a drive. Yeah, I'll just let that charge for a few minutes just so I know that's good. And it's quite useful because it just gets the coolant moving as well. You know, it's a bit like if you worked out. If you worked on a petrol or diesel vehicle and then you sort of start it up and rev it up or whatever, you know, just get the coolant pump going and get that moving. But we don't get gassed is the benefit. So yeah, it's all nice and all nice air in my workshop in that respect. So that's good. Yeah. So the other thing is I just need to fix this fuse box, which is this one. This fuse box lid that goes over here. There's always something with, you know, with Zoes and with cars. It's a big job. So you can see that one is like flapping about, and that one there, yeah, see that's coming at a funny angle, and then when you put it down it kind of goes down. So that I'm going to try and put a bit of super glue on that and we'll see what happens. It's really common as well. This is the sort of jump start post, goes under there, so this goes in here. Do it gently. Yeah, so then there's a little flap here that covers this. Really common that comes off. It's just been worked a few times. It's quite stiff. What I normally do is just get a Stanley knife and just cut that off, basically, just so that's neat, so it doesn't look out of place, and then that's just exposed. But it's no major issue. It's just one little thing, really. Like I say, with each car you need to get the little things. We had that just sort of like rubber plug thing that was sticking out, so we stuck that on, and just all those sensible things that's not going to cause an issue in the future. So yeah, I'm quite keen to get this one back on the road and just see if it's good, and then that'll be that one done. I've got a couple of other things lining up. I've got a Kangoo that had suspected reduction box failure, so I took on 3 broken Kangoos from a London courier company. I've got a whole big fleet of Kangoos, and the first one had reduction box failure. So that is one, it's not the failed one, but it literally had like a big hole in the side of it. The diff had just exploded, and actually that is a few parts of the like diff housing. So literally, yeah, just absolutely exploded. So put a reduction box on that for them. Then they literally dropped the second one off, took the first one away. Second one has got bearing failure. So that one is just completely rumbling. They're debating whether to get that fixed because the van's not in a fantastic condition. So the repair is sort of like more than half the value of the van. So they're kind of debating it. Then they dropped off the third one. A third one they thought had reduction box failure because that was grinding when you put it in drive. But it's actually got a broken drive shaft on the driver's side. And yeah, I'll tell you what, one of the good things about working on Zoe is there's loads of parts. There's so many of the cars that eBay is just full of parts. Whatever you want, you can get. Well, that seems to be my experience, and I buy a lot of parts. And you can get stuff from Renault as well. It tends to be reasonable. You can be unlucky, but yeah, I've always been really lucky getting parts. And for that Kangoo, so trying to find a drive shaft, it's different for the ZE version than it is for the diesel one. And when you look for Kangoo, it brings up a load of diesels. Obviously with a Zoe you don't have that problem. You search Zoe, you're finding all the right parts, all parts for electric Zoes. Obviously you've got to work out the year and all that kind of stuff, but you don't have to try and filter out all the diesel stuff. And lots of parts, even at the part suppliers, GSF, Eurocar parts, motor spares, whatever, they say it fits, but it fits the diesel version. The part supplier hasn't even realised that there is an electric version. really annoying. So that drive shaft, I got a price from Renault. So it's the one on this side, the one slightly longer, because the reduction box is on that side, same on this car as it is on the Kangoo, and it was £440 plus VAT. So the hub nut, which is the nut on the end, this one here, that was only £2 something, so that was all right. The actual drive shaft, so this one, it must be broken in that joint there, because you can see this bit spinning around. It goes grrr, and then the wheel is not going round, basically. So yeah, it's quite a long one. It's difficult to see there. You can see there's like a bearing there, and it's held in place. And then I might be able to, kind of tricky. I can literally see more with the camera than I can with my eye. But yeah, and then in there somewhere, there's the other end of it up into the reduction box. So yeah, need to find a solution to that. Potentially might get one off the Kangoo that's got the broken motor, but we shall see, because then that sort of disables that one, because the motor isn't actually broken. It does work, it does move, so we can move it around. But yeah, we shall see. I did have a slight thought that I could steal the drive shaft, and then you need to put something in the wheel bearing, otherwise it will collapse when you push it around. So the broken stub end, maybe I can put in the broken stub end off the one with the broken drive shaft, put that in the one with the broken motor, and then you just got the fact that the thing won't move. I don't know whether I could sort of lock up one drive shaft possibly, and then it'd be like one wheel drive, and that would just enable me to move it around, but then probably spend so long faffing about, might as well just push it around. Anyway, so that's the next project after this. I need to get this done and out of the way, but yeah, it's all good, and it has warmed up a bit. Be pleased, and I've got my warm gloves on, so that is all good. So yeah, I'm going to finish this off. I can click that charge cable out now, I think, because we're happy that's good, and I will catch you all later. Cheers. Okay, so nearly there. So I'm just having a check over, and basically the last thing I've got to do is get the wheels on, get it down, get it out of the workshop, and give it a test drive, and then I can get some more of that stuff in. But yeah, we're about there. So I've been doing the arch liners, just sort of torquing up, obviously lights, bumper, all that kind of stuff. All the boring stuff really that you need to do when you rebuild. But yeah, I've done this plenty of times. Some mechanic said his dirty gloves all over it, so that's going to need a wash. But other than that, it's all good. So I'm going to get these wheels on, get it down, go for a quick test drive, and just check it's all good. All right, cheers. Okay, I've been for a drive, and it's all good. Just fairly short test drive, but just to make sure there's no major issues. Basically, you can, sometimes you need to do a little bit of sort of motor calibration, but for the way it drives, that might be needed. We will see. But yeah, it's certainly not having the same issue as before. I sort of put my foot flat and stuff like that, and braked sharply, getting it accelerating, regenerating, getting some torque through the motor, and no issues. Basically, we didn't break down, which is good. But yeah, hopefully we won't, because this motor, obviously the rotor's not clonking around, whereas the previous one was. So yeah, 1,200 quid from Renault, not very good for the customer. This one I actually bought, so I'm not writing an invoice on this. I'm just going to get an MOT on it and sell it, so it's back on the road basically, because it's a really good car. Decent range in the winter. Okay, this is the first gen, so the range is about 70 to 90 miles, but winter range is quite good because of the heat pump. And these are just really nice cars to drive, and you can swap batteries and do all that kind of stuff if you want. The batteries last a long time, and that's an interesting point actually, because a couple of people were saying to me, oh, these cars are not very reliable then, you're obviously fixing them all the time. It's like, well, I've ended up specialising in the Zoes kind of by accident, but they're extremely fixable. Spare parts are available. People contact me from other countries saying, oh, there's no parts, can't get them even on eBay. I've even shipped motors abroad, which is a bit risky. I probably won't do anymore, but I have done it on occasion. And I haven't struggled at all. I can get plenty of motors, and that seems to be the weak point. We can get bearings, we can rebuild them. If you're willing to kind of get involved, these are extremely fixable. I've got basic facilities, but it works. I've got the cars running lined up to repair. It's not a major issue. Whereas if you think something like a Nissan Leaf, okay, I don't see the motor issues with those, but we see battery faults, and the batteries are the weak points on those. So nothing is perfect, but these are extremely fixable. And quite a lot of garages will fix them. I'm not the only person, obviously. But yeah, it's all good. So yeah, if you're not subscribed, please do so. have a look at the membership if you've got a Zoe and you're interested in doing kind of, you know, home maintenance. I put quite a lot of member videos on there, and then I put new ones on there. Yeah, I've got another one actually ready to upload. So that is all good. So you kind of maintenance that you would probably have to pay a garage for, with those member videos, the idea is you might be able to do it at home instead. So yeah, we have some good chats with members, and some members have kind of like bought Project Zoes, and then I'm helping them with that. So that's quite cool, really. So that is all good. So Renault charged him 1,200 quid to not fix it. Obviously now it is back on the road. Yeah, so it is all good. Right, well, I'm going to get this one out of the way. It's having an MOT next week. I'm going to get the next Zoe in while I'm waiting for parts on the Kangoo. And it is all good. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you later. Cheers.